Hello everyone. In the series of learning database management system, our today's topic is how to find the candidate keys. So candidate keys and other keys I have already discussed in my previous lectures. So those who have not seen that video, please go through that video so you can understand what is a candidate key and how it is different from other keys. Another prerequisite for this lecture is functional dependency. From very long time I am telling the same thing in my all videos that because of our normalization, functional dependency is must. And to solve all these things, functional dependency concept should be clear. And closure also. So closure, how to find closure, all these videos which are prerequisite for this lecture I have already uploaded. So if you have not seen those videos, please go through those videos once. Already we know that candidate key, it is a minimal super key. Candidate key can be a single column or combination of more than one column, and main thing is it should be uniquely identify the database or all the records of your relation. Then we will call it as candidate key. So for this lecture, I will be discussing the conventional way how to find out the candidate key. In the next lecture, I will come with the short tricks so you can find out the candidate keys quickly. So first step in the process of finding a normal form and decomposing a relation to be in a good database design, in the process of normalization, the first step is to find the candidate key. So this is the base of your normalization. So understand it very carefully, and let me take one example. Let us suppose I am having a relation R. For this relation R, I am having 4 attributes A, B, C and D. So this relation R consists of these 4 attributes. And functional dependency for this question is as follows. A determines B, C, D. Then we can say C determines A. Now, functional dependency for this question is this. Now, first step to find the candidate key is to find the attribute closure. So what we have to do, we have to find out attribute, each attribute which is present here, we have to find out closure of the attribute. Okay, so how many elements are there? A, B, C, D. So I have to find out closure of A, closure of B, closure of C and closure of D. This is the conventional way. Okay, whenever we will be solving for candidate key, the proper method, find the attribute closure. Now attribute closure I have already discussed in the previous video, so I hope you know how to calculate a attribute closure, so I am not going in detail for that topic. So for closure of A, now what I have to write? First I have to write in the result set the element which is already present, whose closure I am computing, and then I have to write those elements which are functionally dependent, which can be derived from that attribute. So A derives B, C, D. So if you can see here, A has the power to derive all the element. So if I am writing like this, that A derives entire relation R, I am not wrong, right? So A derives everything. Let's see B. What B derives? How to find out closure of B? First I have to write the same element which is whose closure we are computing in the result set, and then we have to check the dependency. Is there any direct dependency you can see where B determines something? No, B is not determining anything. So closure of B is B. Now let's check closure of C. So first I have to write down the element whose closure I am computing. That element can determine itself, so C determines C. Then next thing, C determines A. So here I will write A. And is there any dependency on A? Yes, there is dependency on A. C determines B. A determines B, C, D also. So C and A are already there, only I have to write B and D. So this thing can I write like this, that closure of C is ABCD, which is nothing but my entire relation R. So again, C is also having the power to determine the entire relation R. Now let's compute closure of D. Closure of D, first thing, D determines D, no problem in that. Any dependency on D here? No. So D and B are two attributes which are not able to determine anything else other than themselves. Fine. And A and C are the attributes who have the power to determine entire relation. So that means that A and C can uniquely determine this R. Fine. So for this question we can say A and C are the candidate key. So for this particular question, A and C are the candidate key. Let's solve one more example. So here I am having a relation, and this relation R consists of A, B, C, D and E. 5 attributes. Now functional dependency for this question is something like this, that A determines C, E determines D and B determines C. So functional dependency is like this. Okay, so first step in finding the candidate key is to find the attribute closure. So if I will compute attribute closure, how many elements I have? 5 elements. So A closure, B, C, D and E. I will compute the closure of all the elements. So if you can see here, there is from A, closure of A will be A. Any direct dependency on A? C. So closure of A will give me AC. Closure of B, I can determine B. Any direct dependency? C. So I can get BC. Closure of C will give me only C, because there is no direct dependency on C. Closure of D will give me D, and as there is no direct dependency, only D is the closure of D. Closure of E, I can get E, and because E determines D, I can get D also. Fine. Now from this information we need to find out the candidate key. Now any attribute, here if you can see in the previous example, we got the attribute who are able to identify the entire relation uniquely in the first step itself. But here if you can see, after first step also I am not able to find the elements who are able to find out the entire relationship R. Fine. In that case what we do, we use a little trick, and otherwise what you have to do, you have to make then combination. And with combination AB, AC, AD, AE, BC, BA, like this you have to make and you have to find out. But there is a little trick here to find out the important elements. Now for any attribute that appears only on the left hand side, that appears only in this functional dependency, we will go and check for the element which appears only on the left hand side. Left hand side means what? Those attributes are determinant, they are not dependent on someone. And those who are determinant, they have the power to determine the entire relationship, right? So those elements are the possible combination to become a candidate key, right? So we will check for the element which are present only on the left hand side. Fine. So we will check here. So for this, if you can see, A is present on the left hand side, B is present on the left hand side, and E is present on the left hand side. So let me try the combination A, B, E, and let's find out the closure of A, B, E. Right? if I will compute the closure of ABE, so if you can see, first thing what I will get, because ABE, these elements are already present. For this I am calculating the closure. So in resultant first step I have to write those elements whose closure I am computing. So ABE I am writing here. Now because of A, I will be able to find out C. So can I write ABCE? Now because of E, I will be able to find out D. So can I write A, B, C, D, E, and that's it. My entire relationship is here. So if you can see, the closure of A, B, E gives me the entire relation R, right? So can I call A, B, E as my candidate key? Yes, I can call A, B, E as my candidate key. Fine, because we are getting the entire relation. Now, any other attribute, is it possible that it can do? So see, C and D are already finding out only one element. So if we combine CD also with E or something, it's not possible. So this is one short trick that you can check only those elements which are present on the left hand side and not present on the right hand side. Then we will take and we will find out, we will try with the combination and we will check whether we are getting the closure or not. Okay. Now let's take one more example. So hopefully this concept will be more clear. So here one more example I am taking. I am having a relation R with A, B, C, D, E. Functional dependency A to BE, C to BE, and B to D. So when I will compute the closure of A what? A can directly determine BE, so BE, and B can determine D, so A, B, D, E. That's it. Then closure of B will be B, and B can determine only D, so BD. Closure of C will be, C will come here. C has the power to determine B and E, so can I write BCE? Now B has the power to determine D, so B, C, D and E. This is closure of C. Now closure of D is D, and B is not determining anything, so only D. Next, closure of E. Now if you can check here, E will come in the result set, and E is not uniquely determining anything, so nothing will come after this. Now what we have to check, again we have to use our trick, because there is no combination where we are getting the entire relation. So if you can see here, A, B, D, E, but C is missing from this combination, and from this combination A is missing, right? But most of the things A and C are determining, right? Let's check the elements which are present on the left hand side. As I told you the trick, what if we are not able to find out, we will check for the elements which are present on the left hand side and not on the right hand side. So that means what? We are looking for the unique determinant which are determining others, but they are not determined by any other attribute. So if you can see, A is determining BE, and other on the right hand side we are not having A. So one thing is very sure, that A is coming in my combination, because A has the power to determine others, but A is not determined by anyone else. If you can see here, C is also determining others, but no one is determining C. So I am putting C also here. Now here you can check, B is determining D, but here B is determined by C. So I will not take B, I will only take AC. Now D is not determining anything, E is not determining anything. So there E and D I will not take, only A and C I will take. and I will find out the closure of AC. So from AC, first thing I will have AC. A determines BE, so AB, CE. Now what? B determines D, so A, B, C, D and E. That means what? AC determines, closure of AC determines entire relation R, right? And so these two attributes we will call it as candidate key. So candidate key for this particular question is AC. Fine. So hopefully this thing is clear. Let me take one more example so the concept will get more clear. So here let's take a relation. Again, let me take, this is the fourth example. Let's take a relation R with A, B, C and D. The functional dependencies are as follows, that AB determines C, BC determines D and CD determines A. Okay, now let's compute the attribute closure. Now here if you can see on the left hand side I am having pair of 2. So there is no point I compute the closure of A, B, C and D alone. Already we know that functional dependency or the candidate key will be the combination of two attribute. Okay, because already all the determinants are in the pair, right? So instead of taking each attribute closure individually, we will take the closure of AB, the closure of BC, closure of CD. Okay, so we will take closures like this. Okay, now if we will take the closure of AB, AB determines C. So because I am having AB in the result set, AB will come. Now direct dependency, AB determines C, right? Anything else I can write? BC, BC determines D. So can I write A, B, C and D also, right? And then CD determines what? A is already present. So AB has the power to determine the entire relation R, right? Let's check for BC. Now BC determines, first I can write BC, and BC determines D. Now CD has the power to determine A. So can I write ABCD? Yes. So here BC also has the power to determine entire relation R. Not bad. Next, CD. CD, so here I am writing in the result set CD, and CD has the power to determine A. Now any combination is there with AC or CD, so we are not having any kind of dependency where AC, CD or A alone or C alone or D alone determines anything, right? So the closure of CD is only ACD. Fine. Now what will be our candidate key now? Our candidate key will be AB and BC. This is sure that AB and BC is our candidate key. There is no problem in that. But now if I take BCD, is this combination will work? Because BCD, because only D is left out, right, from being a candidate key. So let's try this combination BCD. So let's see, BCD means BCD will come in the result set. Then CD determines A. So can I write ABCD? Yes, I can write. So BCD closure can determine the entire relation R, but then also BCD will not be the candidate key. We will not take BCD as candidate key. Why? Because in the beginning I told you the definition of candidate key, that a minimal super key can be a candidate key. Already BC is a candidate key. Now if I will add any attribute, any additional attribute to this, it can be a super key, but it will not be a candidate key, right? So although BCD together has the power to determine the entire relation R, then also BCD will not be a candidate key. BCD can be a super key, but BCD cannot be a candidate key. It cannot be a candidate key. Why? Because this is not minimal anymore. Minimal means what? Alone BC makes a candidate key. If we are adding any new attribute, it become a super key and not a candidate key. Fine. Now, one more concept, because we will use this thing very frequently in the coming lecture. Prime attributes and non-prime attributes. So there are two types of attributes which you have to remember. One is prime and another is non-prime. Now, prime attributes are those attributes who are part of candidate key. So if any attribute is part of candidate key, we will call it as prime attribute. If they are not part of candidate key, then we will call it as non-prime attribute. Okay, now check for this question. Who will be the prime attribute and who will be the non-prime attribute? If you can see here, AB and BC are my candidate key. That means A, B and C. So here, if I will write the prime attribute for this question is A, B and C. And the remaining who are not part of candidate key, that means what? Non-prime. So who is not part of the candidate key in the relation? A, B, C are the part of candidate key. Only D is the left out one, which is not part of candidate key. So D is the non-prime member of this question. Let's check for further questions also. The first question which we have solved. Here, what is the key? A and C are the key. So prime members who are part of the key. So prime attributes will be A and C. And non-prime attributes will be, for this question, out of A and C, B, D are left out. So non-prime attribute will be B and D, right? For this question, let's check out. For this question, candidate key is ABE. ABE is the candidate key for this question, right? So this is the candidate key. So prime attributes A, B and E. Non-prime attribute now from this relation already A, B and E are gone. So that means the remaining one is C and D, right? For this question, AC is the candidate key. So prime attributes will be AC and non-prime attribute will be B, D and E. So they are the non-prime attribute. Fine. I hope this lecture and these examples are clear. Just practice this thing. In the next coming video, I will be teaching the short trick to find out the candidate key. Thank you.